On July 9th, 2019, Kawhi Leonard signed a contract with the Los Angeles Clippers. Immediately following this, they would trade for Paul George. Since that date, the Los Angeles Clippers have played 347 games, including both the regular season and the playoffs. The amount of games that Kawhi and Paul George have played together in those games? 142. That is an abysmal 41% games played with both of these players of the available games. Injuries have shaped this team at every turn, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. So, it is time for the Clippers to stop doing this. The NBA playoffs are here, which makes now the perfect time to check out today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy for someone who is new to daily fantasy. It is just you versus the projections. Select 2 to 6 players and pick whether you think they will get more or less of their player's projected stat. Get them all right and you can win up to 25 times your money. Prize Picks is also running a massive giveaway. Every day during the NBA playoffs, one random Prize Picks user will have a chance to become a millionaire. One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern will be randomly selected every day to make a 6-pick flex play. Get 4 picks correct and you will win $16,000. 5 correct, you win $80,000, and get all 6 correct and you can walk away a millionaire. And what's great for you is if you have not downloaded Prize Picks already, first-time users who use my code RUSTY will get an instant deposit match up to $100. So let's say you put $50 into the app, Prize Picks will give you $50 and so on. So click the link in the description to download Prize Picks, and again, use my code RUSTY for an instant deposit match up to $100. Thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring this video. Injuries are a part of the game that I would hope at least the majority of us can agree are not the fun part. It's not a part of the game that any of us want to focus on, discuss. It's just kind of not the fun part, basically. So because of that, discussing injury is kind of a taboo to some degree, and it's treated as though it is just simply something that is unfortunate, not something that can potentially lend criticism depending on the circumstances. Because injuries are usually just chalked up to being unfortunate, they're just random, right? It's not really criticized from the franchise perspective. But at a certain point, this issue can become a consistent and projectable thing. In the last 4 years, if you bet on injuries having a massive impact on the Clippers, you would win that bet all 4 years. So with that being the case, how many years in a row can the Los Angeles Clippers choose to lose that bet and not get criticized for it and just be okay with it? In my opinion, now is when this should come to an end, because it seems very clear to me and to a lot of people that this core just is not going to win a championship due to their injury issues, whether it be because they're actively injured or because Kawhi or Paul George, but let's be real, primarily Kawhi, is actively managing those injuries. How many years in a row can you accept the inevitable outcome before you stop? Now, the reason why this has not happened already is the same reason a lot of you will probably comment down below. Well, when the Clippers actually play with Paul George and Kawhi playing, they're really, really, really good. Like really good. And maybe you just get the right year and the stars align and the cards go in their favor and you win an NBA championship. And that take is true, at least to some degree, because for starters, yes, Kawhi and PG, when they play together, are a insanely high level of winning duo. In the 142 games they've played together, they won 96 of them. That gives them a 68% win percentage. Looking at regular season games alone, they won 70% of those games, which if scaled to an 82-game season, would result in a 57-25 record. Only 2 teams this year managed to win that many games or more, those teams being the Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks. AKA, that means they'd be a really freaking good team if they actually managed to play those games together. But the thing is, That has only ever been an if, and at this point, it's hard to suggest it would be anything other than an if pretty much ever. The idea that this team can actually quote-unquote put it together is becoming increasingly more impossible to imagine. Continuity is a big issue for the Clippers. In fact, that's a massive understatement. If I were to look at any team to be the example of why continuity matters for a team's success, it would be the Clippers. And I don't just mean as an example in recent NBA history, I mean they are the example to go to of any team in all of NBA history for why having your star players in and out of lineups all the time is bad, because there's no other team that has clearly had that happen so frequently as it has with the Clippers. The Clippers are the poster child of the issue of poor continuity. They're the #1 go-to example. Again, their 2 star players only play together for 2 out of every 5 games. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of continuity, it is something that I have harped on quite a bit. It's just the word to describe something that we already know inherently, which is that having players in and out of lineups all the time results in inconsistency. And even if you're a team that can potentially be very good with your star players actually playing, because of the fact that they are constantly in and out, A, it's just resulting in a worse record to begin with, but B, it's preventing the team from unlocking its fullest potential. Something that I noticed is their actual playoff record together isn't great. They've only won 2 more games than they've lost in the games they've played together in the playoffs. Not that it's been a ton of them, unfortunately. And I think that's specifically because they have this continuity issue. Essentially, what has happened here has created 4 different basketball teams. There is the Clippers without Kawhi and PG. There is the Clippers with just Kawhi. There is the Clippers with just PG. And there is the Clippers with the both of them. Obviously, the Clippers with the both of them is the most optimal team. But because they're forced to be one of these 4 basketball teams so frequently, they don't really mesh when those 2 are together. And again, it holds them back from their true potential. This Clippers team is more the team without Kawhi and Paul George than they are with both of them. The Clippers are more the Clippers without their star players than they are with them. They can keep trying to make this work, but it feels like we are seeing the sunk cost fallacy play out in front of us on the stage of hoops. Steve Ballmer has invested a ton in this working, and it hasn't. So maybe they'll be stubborn and keep it going. But as for what is actually truly the best for this team, well, that would be to just do what's best and sell, because that's what's actually going to pay off in the long run rather than just watching it all go away. It will reach this inevitable conclusion one way or the other. You can walk away with a chest full of assets, or you can just crumble. Blow this team up, get the assets that you can, and eventually you can hopefully build a roster with star players who will actually play for the team. Now, I will throw at the end here something that, again, I'm sure a bunch of you commented, so it's unfortunate I'm putting at the end, but you know what? That's the place it felt right structurally. The Clippers are lacking in first-round picks going forward. They have their pick this year, not next year, and I think they have 2 years in a row after that where they don't have their pick, which I didn't even know was possible because of the Stephian rule. I think maybe it's a swap or whatever, but one way or the other, pick situation is a little rough for the foreseeable couple of years for the Clippers, and that can definitely be used as an argument for sticking with what you've got. And hey, if you want to do it for another year or 2, that's valid, I get that, but as dumb as it might seem to blow it up when you don't have your picks, it's kind of a negative consequence you're going to deal with one way or the other. I don't really care that much about arming an opposing team that I made a trade with good draft picks. I mean, I think we would already agree that the trades that they made were not good trades in the long run. But either way, in the long run, speaking of, trading those guys, everybody on the roster basically, getting what assets you can and just building a team organically, if you do that right, you won't even need those picks. And keep using the phrase in the long run, it will pay more dividends than just letting this team flame out naturally. So yeah, I don't think the Clippers can keep doing this. They might, but they shouldn't. That's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.